Honorable Kajendrakumar Ponnampalam, you have 11 minutes.
How long?
11 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Presiding Member. I don't think I'll take all 11 minutes, sir.
Okay.
Whatever minutes that remains, you can allocate to the Honourable Mujibur Rahman.
Mujibur Rahman already, Honourable Mujibur Rahman.
Has he spoken?
Yeah, already he has given his
So
time
whatever that is remaining, you can share it amongst the other opposition members.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, I am not an expert on economics. And in that instance, I don't wish to preach to this House with regards to how this country is to try and get out of the mess that it has created for itself. However, sir, one thing is for certain, common consensus amongst intellectuals is that Sri Lanka must go to the IMF, and in doing so must have a plan for itself with regards to restructuring, not only with regards to restructuring debt, but also with regards to restructuring Sri Lanka itself, with regards to how we are going to govern. And we have a crisis of governance. No one can run away from that reality. So under these circumstances, as a layman when it comes to economic matters, but also more importantly as a Member of Parliament representing the Northeast, I wish to raise a few matters which I think is very pertinent and which I also believe, if properly addressed, I'm certain will contribute towards addressing the restructuring that is necessary to progress on the dire economic situation that we face. Firstly, sir, if you look at the budget allocations that took place at the last year, you would see that for 2022, defence expenditure as a percentage stands at 14%. And if you take within the Defence Ministry, if you take military related expenditure, it stands at 12.3%. Last year, that is at the previous budget for 2021, as a percentage on military matters, it was 10.56%. Now, sir, that is an astonishing figure for a country like Sri Lanka, that economically, especially when you consider 2021 and 2022, both years where Sri Lanka's economy has taken a downturn to a point that we are literally bankrupt, to have an allocation for the Ministry of Defence 14%, and on the previous year for military related matters over 10%, quite honestly is just simply cannot be justified, especially at a time of peace. Peace in the sense that there is no war, peace in the sense that there is no armed conflict, peace in the sense that every political formation that represents the Tamil people, at least in the past, since we did support an armed conflict, is not talking of an armed conflict, is not asking our people to take up arms, to actually increase expenditure for defense in the way in which Sri Lanka has, is not justifiable. Also, so the predictions are, the Jane's Defence Weekly predicts that for the next 5 years, there will be an annual percentage increase of 2% for defense. So every year, 2% will be added on. And that really is something that I think the honourable members of this House, especially at a time such as this, should seriously reconsider. Now, if you take military expenditure as of a percentage of GDP, the countries that spend more than Sri Lanka are countries like Australia, the United Kingdom, India and Israel. If you consider military expenses as a percentage of government expenses, the only country that spends more is Israel. And we all know, Honourable Presiding Member, the situation in Israel is very, very different from the situation in Sri Lanka. The state of Sri Lanka has to spend so much simply because it considers not outsiders as possible enemies who can invade or who can create trouble, but the state of Sri Lanka considers its enemies from within. It considers the Tamils as enemies, it considers now the Muslims as enemies, and this government considers its own people who it boasts voted for it, which is the Sinhalese people, also its enemy. So there is something radically wrong with this picture. Instead of having that hostile approach, if the current government and also the opposition can address the fears of the Tamils and the Muslims, those who feel disenfranchised by the Sri Lankan state, then obviously the need to allocate so much for defense just does not or cannot, should not arise. And it is on that basis that I would like to suggest, Honourable Presiding Member, that when this government goes to the IMF, that it seriously looks into this matter, because it is not only in the interest of this government and the people of the whole of Sri Lanka, but certainly it is in the interest of the Tamil people and the people living in the northeast, that the oppressive regime with regards to the military be dismantled. And I say oppressive for two reasons. One is the very physical presence, where you have a presence of 1:14, and in the Vanni region of as awful as 1:5 must be done away with. It is just not healthy, and it is downright oppressive. But also, Honourable Presiding Member, when there is a situation where heinous crimes have been committed against the Tamil people, where the allegation that the Tamil people repeatedly make is that those crimes amount to genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes, then when you have a military presence in the way in which that exists today, obviously it is also dangerous, because victims would have the persons who in fact inflicted crimes against them living amongst them.
Honourable Ponnampalam, you have only 2 minutes.
I'll take that 2 minutes. So for that reason, Honourable Presiding Member, I would strongly suggest that even though it is a late stage, that the government seriously reconsider the expenses on defence. Defence is not just military, Honourable Presiding Member. I must say that they also have a civil security division. I mean, see how absurd the defence establishment is. The civil security division employs Montessori teachers. You see, so they give salaries. It used to be 30,000, now it's more. And they actually employ Montessori teachers. So children as young as toddlers, when they start their life, they start them through a militarization process in the northeast? What does Montessori teaching have got to do with the military? Why does the civil security division have got to do anything with teaching young toddlers? So that is the mindset. That is the mindset that the defense establishment has with regards to the northeast. Ordinary Montessori teachers today are protesting in the northern province because they are only paid 6,000 rupees. Their positions have not been made permanent. Can you imagine a family with 6,000 rupees trying to survive 1 week? But that's a reality. But the same person, if he chooses to go and join the civil security division and be that same Montessori teacher, will get over 30,000 rupees.
Your time's up.
So clearly, there is a very wrong agenda. That agenda must come to a stop. We appeal to the government that before they go to the IMF, that they restructure it in such a way that this militarization stops. If that does not happen, we certainly appeal to the IMF to make that a definite condition when in fact negotiating with the Sri Lankan state. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.